view about charter schools. I think charter schools on the one hand make and can produce great results, but there are a lot of unknown variables in charter schools. As I said earlier in one of my question responses, I do believe in more flexibility, more autonomy, and more accountability. But I believe that we can achieve that through our current system. One of the problems is we, as a board, the board has not ensured accountability from the board on down to the schools. And when you don't have accountability, then of course it's going to be hard to achieve flexibility and autonomy. But I do believe that we can achieve flexibility, autonomy by operating within the regions, allowing each regional superintendent to have more flexibility, more autonomy within their schools. Here's the other thing that I want to say about charter schools. Actually, the state has mandated that each district select between 3 options: the traditional model, the IE square, which is investing in educational excellence system, and the charter system. DeKalb County is choosing the charter route, but what I have not heard, how is 130 schools going to function within the charter system? I have not heard that explained adequately to me. I do know that Gwinnett has chosen the IE square model, which is between the traditional and the charter system. I would like to hear more about the IE square system, because I'm not sure that just moving to a charter system is the way to go, because there are a lot of unknown variables, and I have not heard anybody at the county level explain exactly how this would work. What happens if some of the schools are underperforming? Where is the funding coming? How is the funding mechanism going to work? These are things that no one has explained. And so I would hate for us to just jump on the bandwagon of charter system for the sake of jumping on without really having done our research and understanding exactly what's at stake for 100,000 students.
Future, and we'll make that decision. As for the difference between the two, and as I talked to Ms. Mason earlier, Gwinnett County has chosen the IE squared model, which actually gives you less decentralization than the charter system model. And what people that I talk to want is less central control. And with this charter system, every school will have their own charter. Every school will have their own charter, every school will have a board, and that board will decide what type of charter school it wants to be. And that is a lot of flexibility. Do you not agree? That is a lot of flexibility.
She looked away.
That's scary.
She looked away.
That is a lot of flexibility, and you have to think about the accountability piece. Now, when you talk about these boards and on these charter schools, these boards will have to go through a thorough training. That means that you're not going to let however many number of people, 7 to 12, whatever number the school decides to have on the board, just go out immediately and run a charter school. The board will review, the staff will also review how this will look, because we do not want our schools to flounder. Our schools have got to succeed, and they can succeed through this model.
It is law.
Now, I can understand your concern, but the training will be in place. We're not just going to release schools all in one allotment. You will be released when your board is ready to take over that responsibility. The other part of the flexibility of the charter system would be the waivers. If you look at the IE squared model, the IE squared model says that the waivers that you put in place at the beginning are the only waivers you can ever have. So if the state comes out with some new mandate and you disagree with it, there's no waiver for it. You have to go with that mandate. In a charter school system, you start off with waivers, order to get the best academic success. And if something comes down the pipeline that you don't necessarily agree is going to add to your academic success, then you can apply for a waiver for that. So there's a bit more flexibility in the charter school system.
I'm going to ask that you keep your answers to 1 minute, please.
On his turn, right?
Extra time for the early candidates. Can we do that next round?
Yes. But I'm also going to ask that you answer the question, would you vote for or against?
Sure. When we qualified, we had a form at the DeKalb NAACP. That Saturday, the week after we qualified, I was the first candidate in this race to advocate for DeKalb becoming an all-charter system. And I'll tell you why. In my previous role, we had been studying this issue for the past year. And looking at the differences between IE squared, all-charter district, and a traditional district, I felt that with the if we want to increase parental and community involvement, this is the mechanism that allows us to do that. As Dr. Erwin just mentioned, each school would become a conversion charter. There's a difference between startup charters and conversion charters. In a startup charter model, you can draw an attendance zone for the entire county. In a conversion charter model, and you can be selective on which students will attend that school. That's not where we're going. We're becoming a conversion charter, which means that all the attendance zones stay the same, and you will not get to pick and choose which students attend that charter. I think that's where the controversy lies between startup charters and conversion charters. But the public feels like we're going to be all charter system, and there's going to be some students who are going to be excluded from these schools, and that's not the case at all. Fulton County Schools is the largest charter district in the state right now. They've been an all-charter district for the past 2 years. They've been doing it in phases. All the schools have become conversion charters overnight. They've done this in phases. As Dr. Erwin alluded to, when the community is ready and can take on that responsibility, that's when the schools will convert. But I also think that we do have to think about startup charters and the roles they're going to play in this environment. I think McNair and Towers, with the deplorable graduation rate that exists there, we need to talk about a KIP or some other turnaround group coming in and managing those schools. I just think that they would do a better job than what we're doing right now. I mean, there are too many children who are failing and who are ending up breaking into your house, in my house, who are loitering all over the community. So that we got to think about different options.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make it short and sweet. Here we go. No, I vote against charter. Why can't we take from charter and this square and put it together and put it into our schools? Why can't we see how charter is working, put it in our school? Let's see what the square is. But as far as making DeKalb County as a whole all charter school, no, I'm totally against that. Because you need to know the difference between a charter school and that you have the rights and a theme school and a magnet school. My kids came up in a charter school, theme school at Robert Shaw. Excellent. They do the same articulate things. Magnet school do the same articulate things. So why can't we go to that method? No, I'm against a charter school, and that's my opinion on that, because we can do and make it better. My minute is up.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley. Next question. How will you ensure teachers are able to educate students to achieve better test scores in spite of those environmental issues that may hinder the success of those students? Mr. Mosley?
First, we have to pay our teachers. We got teachers that's not getting paid, they haven't been paid in 8 years. To get our students with a better and an excellent quality education, this is where I'm saying no with charter. If we let our teachers teach, get our kids back starting from the grassroots, then our kids will be able to move up. We cannot push a kid ahead when you got a kid in the 12th grade can't read. I feel that every child before he or she graduates should learn a skill or a trade before he or she graduates. We need to work on this method. You have a place right down here, OEC, which I took a vocational, right behind Perimeter College. Every child needs to do that. Because if not, look what the president is saying. You can have a degree, but you still may not get a job. Thank you. My minute is up.
The question is, how will you ensure teachers are able to educate students to achieve better test scores in spite of those environmental issues that may hinder the success of those students?
So, you know, one of the positive aspects of charter schools versus traditional school is a level of professional development that teachers receive in that environment versus in a traditional environment. And oftentimes that really makes the difference. I mean, right now, our teachers are not receiving very much professional development. And when you compare that again to what's happening in a charter school environment, they're getting professional development all the time, year round. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, that's going to help improve, you know, their ability to be effective in that classroom and to deal with the population of students. But then also, again, we have to ensure that we have a culture of high expectation in every building. I mean, that is going to ensure that we're telling our kids, we're not going to make excuses for what's happening with you because the world's not going to make excuses. We're going to make sure you're prepared so that you can be a model citizen going forward. Thank you.
So one of the things I want to bring out as far as professional development for teachers, the board just last August passed an action item that gave Pearson the ability to come in and give professional development to our teachers. They call it Pearson coaches, and they come in and teach anything that the principal thinks that the teachers need to be educated on, or where he thinks improvement needs to be handled. Along with that, Pearson has a device called Pearson 360, where not only do the coaches come in, give examples, give instructions, but if you didn't get it then, there's a video that goes along with it to show you how to implement it in the classroom. So we are putting this support down for our teachers. We will continue to increase that support. Our universal screener is part of that support system. One of the things that we need to do to help teachers in the classroom is remove barriers. One of the main barriers are furlough days. We have got to get rid of the furlough days. It is a barrier to anybody who has a job that knows that they're not going to get paid for a certain amount of days a year. That's the first thing. So, as a board member, these are things that you put in place as policy, as action items or agenda items to filter down. And that's what the board is doing and will continue to do.
The first thing that needs to happen is that teachers need to be supported and respected in the classroom. They need to be provided the adequate resources to teach our children. I'm in the classroom many days, and too many of our classrooms have one set of classroom books in order to educate the classroom. I think that is not acceptable. Every child should have a book to take home. Otherwise, you're putting more responsibility on the teacher